Hi everybody, I want to make this short series of videos in which I talk about some countries that for their history, their conditions, their economic situations, their institutions, their positions, their strength in history were supposed to fail, and instead they came up as winners. So this first video is gonna be about Botswana. Botswana had an incredible story that few people know about. First of all, the story I want to tell you about starts with the conqueror from Cecil Rhodes, who was an English businessman that was ruling South Africa at the time. Cecil Rhodes had conquered a big part of South Africa and was a terrible dictator. He really killed lots of people and imposed very, very racist rules. Then became the foundation of the apartheid in South Africa, which of course most of you will know about because of Nelson Mandela, who fought against it. But Cecil Rhodes was expanding the land he controlled up north, so from South Africa up. And one of the land that was that received this threat was Botswana. And so the three leaders of the three tribes of Botswana, the future Botswana, asked the British for help and said, if you help us contrast, be against, and protect ourselves from Cecil Rhodes, we will help you in the future, we will collaborate. You will have, of course, a sort of control on our land. Limited, you will leave our institutions like they are, etc. And the British agreed. There was Chamberlain at the time as Ministry of the Colonial Empire, and was Queen Victoria, the Queen at the time. They agreed, and they invested little amounts of money in Botswana. They built some railroads, but they didn't do much. And so the institution that the Tswana people, the Tswana tribes had remained as they were before the British control. That was not really a strong control because they had so many other issues with the rest of the empire that they didn't want to worry too much about Tswana. But you know, common enemy makes friends. So they became friends, but the Tswana people preserved their institutions. What was the institution they had? Well, first of all, they had a sort of, we can say, constitutional monarchy. They said that the king is the king by grace of the people. What did they mean by that? They had every week, they had consistent councils with all the people of the tribes, probably just men, but at least one person for each, representing each family, that had his voice to talk about how the community was going, the public policies. We can talk about public policies in the sense of common action of the ruler, that the ruler took for the community, and they had the power to say to the king, well, king, you're not going to be the king anymore because you were wrong about this, this, and this. And so you're not the best. It was a sort of choosing the best king for the community. It was still a monarchy, but the people had voice in it. Of course, they didn't tell the British about that. And so, even if they had been sort of colonized, they preserved a kind of democracy that no other state that had been colonized ever had, or ever had the possibility to maintain, in case they had it before they were colonized. And so what happens? Well, in 1966, they obtained independence without fighting so much, because the British Empire was, you know, at its end. And so they obtained independence, but 4 years later, I think, in 1970, they discovered what was the ruin of so many countries in Africa: diamonds. Their underground was full of diamonds, and it was found in the territory of one of the three tribes I told you about. The king of this tribe was Seretse Khama. Seretse Khama, they made a film on him titled A United Kingdom that went out, I think some years ago. Seretse Khama was a visionary. It was a really smart man who did something very great for his community, because if a tribe found something underground, staying according to the law that they had at the time, it would have been a property of the specific tribe that found it on its territory. But Seretse Khama suddenly changed the law for the good of the community of the Botswana land, maybe at the time, and said, well, by this new article of our constitution, these diamonds belong to the Tswana people, or no matter which tribe they belong to. And this was a big opportunity to avoid any war, any civil war among all the three tribes, which is what happened, if you think about it, in Sri Lanka, for example. What ruined Sri Lanka was the bloody diamonds. So a civil war didn't break out, and the state became more and more centralized because it had more power, and then redistributed wealth that it had from the taxation of diamonds. To give you an idea of the success of Botswana, I want to tell you that when it obtained independence, Botswana was one of the poorest states in Africa. You know, Africa on average is already very poor, so imagine what it means to be the poorest state in Africa. They just had 22 people with a degree, 100 people with a degree from high school degree, and they had a GDP that was very, very low. They had only 12 kilometers of roads. 12 kilometers. And I mean, the area is not that small, you know. But then, right now, economists compare its success to the one of some Eastern European states like Bulgaria or Estonia, because it's been very successful. I mean, I think this is an expression of facts demonstrate that certain actions, certain institutions, a certain fiscal system made things possible and made things better. Well, I mean, it's an incredible story. A lot of people will say this is luck because they just had a visionary king, Seretse Khama. But it's not so true. I mean, the contingent part of history matters. Luck matters. But if you think about it, you know, Seretse Khama wouldn't have been a king if they didn't have the sort of parliamentary or constitutional monarchy. So it was, you know, the whole set of institutions and luck they had in history that made it possible. I think this is a wonderful story that's worth to know about. See you in the next video. We're going to talk about another state that avoided failure. So from the center of Italy, on holiday with my family, I tell you, have a nice day. Bye-bye.